Dictator is the cause of the problem, the cause of most of the problem in our life, in the nature, in everything that we have now. We suffer, we work hard, we poor. Mainly it caused by the impact from dictator. Many people think that most of the country are not dictator. Many developed country, they don't have dictator anymore. But for me, from my eyes, I can see that dictator is everywhere. Dictator never go away from the world. They are here. They're still here. But they change their form. In the past, they maybe use the power from military to make a coup, to take power from people, and then they control people. But when people learn more, people understand things more, they evolve themselves, they develop themselves to be different form. Now many countries, dictator, they are not military anymore. They are dictator in parliaments. They can buy vote, they can buy another representative from another side to their side, so they can have majority of vote in the parliament. Then they can control everything. They can do corruption, they can do things illegally, easily. They can do things to take advantage of people easily. Mainly in this era, many dictators, they love to do populism. They give money or give more benefit to people a lot, so they can get trust from people more. And then in the same time, they want to make money back by raising tax, raising the price of gas, the price of water, electricity. There are many ways they can cause problem for us. In most of developed countries, dictators disguise themselves or they evolve themselves into corporation. They are not politicians anymore. But they control the politician, they control the government, because they are the one who gave money to government. So those corporations are the real dictator in the world now, because they control government in many countries. And those government, those politicians, they need to make law or make regulation or make some policy that flavor their business. That's the way they make money. They take advantage from every drop of our sweat. When we work hard, we work for them. Every bite of food that we put in our mouth, it will go to their hand. This is the new dictator. When they involve very complicated, we don't understand them. We don't even know their name, but they control us completely. All the food we eat now were controlled by them. All the media and everything we have now controlled by them. Some people maybe think, oh, in developed country they have a lot of freedom. They can speak, they can criticize people easily, freely. They have freedom to speak, to talk, to do things. But they have no freedom to live like normal people. They have to work hard. The more the country develop, that means dictator develop itself more complicated too. So when we develop more, that means we have to work more, work harder, longer. Every developed country, people always work very hard and then have less time to be with themselves. They will have more mental problem. Everywhere now, even developing country, we still moving to the same direction. Everywhere, when we start to be more developed, we have to work harder and then have a bad health, bad mental problem. Everywhere. We work for somebody else, but we don't know who we are working for. This is the new dictator system that they evolved themselves until we can't see them. We don't know them. And then they make them believe that we have a lot of freedom, but actually we have no freedom on this earth. We have no freedom. It's so hard to live in the way that we want to live now. So dictator is everywhere, especially in the developed country. Dictator use government in developed country to force another country make the big policy, force another country to let them take advantage of people all over the world. They can take the resources all over the world to pile up in their hand. Many things we don't even know that it's a tools or the system that they create to suck our labor and suck our natural resources to their hand. For example, free trade agreement. The developed country try to organize free trade agreement with every country in the world. So that's the way they favor, they support the big corporation to do trading, to do business with poor people, with poor country. They call free trade. That means the rich people who have tons of money, they have to do business, compete with a small farmer who don't have anything, who going to get the most benefit. So actually it's robbing, but they call in the good way free trade. And then they try to have more agreement like a CPTPP thing. That's all, everything. That is the tools or the weapon from dictator in the developed country. They try to control and take advantage of poor people, poor country as much as we can. So the more we surrender, the more we accept that, we will lose our freedom and happiness. We have to work more and more and more hours, long time. That means we have less time to be with ourselves, less time to enjoy our life. We have to work hard. Everybody work hard everywhere, but we don't know who are we working for. The main habit of dictator is they have to make people suffer, make people poor, make people cannot rely on themselves. Because the biggest enemy of dictator is freedom and happiness. When people have freedom, when people are happy, that means people consume less. People help each other more. People depend on themselves more. So if more people be happy and have more freedom, it's hard to take advantage of them. And then they have time. When they have freedom, they are happy, they have time to study, to understand things more. So it's not easy for dictators to take advantage of people. That's why they don't like freedom and happiness. So all dictators in the world, they have to plan something to make a war, create more war, make pandemic, make economic collapse, make inflation. They will make a lot of things like this just to control people, to make people poor and in debt. Debt is the most important tools that dictators like to use to control people as much as they can. When people are in debt, they cannot think about themselves much. They just think about what are we going to eat today? How can we make money to pay off debt? So we don't have time to think about happiness or freedom. So dictator create tons of problems in the world just to make people weak and work hard and no time to think, so they can control us easily. We have less time to think, to study, to contemplate more in our life. And then they just toxicate us with lottery, gambling, drugs. Most of the drugs problem in the world, it relates to the system that they make it. It relates to government official. Government official relate to politician, relate to big corporation. So everything relate together. That's why we have so many problems that we cannot solve in our life. So if we want to be happy, we want freedom, we need to think about how can we free ourselves from dictator system in the world now. The easiest way that we can be independent is how can we decrease depending on them, on the system. How can we depend on the system as less as we can? The system that dictator create for us now is control us completely. All of us have to eat meat or food from a few companies. Everything is controlled by a few companies. The corporation, a few corporations, they control us like this. And they don't want us to know that we can go back to do it ourselves. For me, I feel like the only way that we can free ourselves from the dictator system is to come back to think about self-reliance. Don't think about rely on them much. Think about rely on ourselves and rely on each other more. Whenever we think about come back to grow our own food, have our own food. If we don't like to grow food, we have to do what we like to do. But we need to connect with people who love to grow food. And then we think about self-healing. Learn how to do self-healing more. Learn local wisdom more. How can we take care of ourselves when we get sick? And learn how to do things by ourselves more, or depend on each other more. Like instead of buy a plastic basket, but there's some people in another village, they make bamboo basket. If we buy from them, we support each other. So this is the way we can be independent. We rely on ourselves and rely on each other. Then we will support the dictator system less and less and less. When we support them less, they will have less power to control us. We cannot be free from them 100%, but we can gradually train ourselves to change. I think it's important to think about this now, because it's so tired to live like normal way we live now. We work hard, everybody work hard for them, but we never work for ourselves. When we think about self-reliance, that's the way we think about we work for ourselves. We need to eat good food first, and then we need to have time to be with ourselves, to be with family, and then we can have time to enjoy our life. So when we come back to be self-reliant and rely on each other, we don't need to do everything ourselves. If we rely on each other, we just help each other, share each other. We can create our own system, that we have our food system, medical system, education system, and money system, or society or community system, that we can depend on each other more. I think this is the most important thing that we can do to free ourselves from the system.